Good morning, guys. It's going to be another walking and vlogging video, but with a twist. This is actually a collaboration video with Dr. Parker.
Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Buck Parker. I am a board certified general surgeon.
I met him off of Instagram. I first of all noticed he was an IMG, and second of all that he was a surgeon, so I was like, oh yeah, definitely want to do a collaboration with you. And he has a YouTube channel, so I'll put the link in the end screen and in the description below, so be sure to subscribe to him as well so you can find out more about his medical journey. We're in different states, so I'll ask the questions on here and then just edit in his answers. Cool? The first question I have is, why did you pursue surgery? Like, what drew you to that specialty?
Hey Ray, how's it going? Hey, thanks for doing this little video collab with me. That's pretty sweet. So I was very active with art when I was younger. I did a lot of drawing and painting, and I was doing really well. To me, it was like a crapshoot of whether I was gonna make a living or not, and I didn't like that. So, I kind of made it over to surgery. But the other reason I went into surgery was because my dad was a big hunter. It wasn't the hunting, it was the field dressing of the animal. So after you kill an animal, you have to field dress them, you take all their guts out, right? And you get to see what's inside of them. And so I started seeing, what the bowels are like, the heart, the lungs, what they actually look like and feel like. I think one other thing, I saw a documentary when I was really young. I think it was heart surgery. That was the craziest and most amazing thing I could think of when I was that age. Kind of all those things together solidified the idea that I wanted to be a surgeon.
Because IMGs have that reputation of going into family medicine or internal medicine, did you ever consider any other specialties besides surgery?
For me it was surgery for sure, but I didn't know what kind of surgery. I think my second going into my third year, there was some neurosurgeon interns that I was working with. So I was a 2, they were a 1, and they were like, dude, you're so awesome, like you should join our program, we have a spot opening. And so they actually told their program director, they're like, you got to interview this guy. And so I went and did an interview with the neurosurgical program director. I just had zero experience with it. It wasn't on the top of my list because I was a Caribbean medical student, and everybody tells you that you can't do surgery, and certainly not neurosurgery. So I thought, well, if I'm gonna do this, maybe I should have had experience before, and I just decided not to do it. I did consider doing like a critical care fellowship, or cardiothoracic was pretty sweet, honestly. I don't know, I wanted to go back home and do small town general surgery, and that was, if you're a cardiothoracic surgeon, you're not getting, there's no cardiothoracic program in a smaller town. So
was your university supportive of you going into surgery? And what about your cohort, like your classmates, your colleagues? What did they think about you going into surgery?
The school is of course supportive, but they want you to do it, but they kind of want you to do it by yourself. Because they don't, at the time, St. Matthew's, they were new, not so supportive, like, oh, everybody's doing this and let's all do this together, and everybody goes through the process together and stuff like that. So in that sense, there was not very much support, and I felt like I was on my own most of the time. There wasn't a lot of people from my school that went into surgery, so I couldn't really reach out to a lot of people, so it was tough.
Anybody that opens a first aid book can see the requirements as far as USMLE Step 1 scores to match into surgery. So how did you approach those board exams?
Step 1, I actually took a year off. I knew that if I wanted to go in surgery, I had to crush Step 1. Because I was from a no-name school, it was do or die. And so I took a year off to study for that. I don't necessarily recommend taking a year off. I think I definitely got a better score than if I didn't take the year off, but I don't think I needed to take a year. That was too much. What I ended up doing was taking a Kaplan course for Step 1, and that was like 3 months or something like that maybe, and then deciding that it wasn't good. And after 3 to 4 months, then going back and saying, what am I gonna do? And then realizing that all the books that I had read in school and the notes that I took were probably better. And then I went actually to a lot of the student forums, like online forums, and found out who were getting the highest grades, what they were studying, what exact books they were studying. And so that's how I ended up selecting those books, going back and writing notes for those books, and then studying the out of those notes. So I distilled all those review books down to my notes and then went over those. Then I did a ton of questions, as many questions as I could. I was getting like an 85% on those tests, and then I felt comfortable going to take the test, specifically step 1. Step 2, I took about 2 months off for that. I repeated the same process.
Do you have any additional tips for my followers, your followers, about maybe how to approach med school or things you need to know about med school? Any last minute tips?
So for Caribbean medical students, I think the big thing is to remember it's not over, Even though you're in the Caribbean or if you're an IMG, you can still get a residency. You can still do an amazing job. You can still be a great doctor. You can still practice where you want to practice. And eventually, nobody freaking even knows that you're a Caribbean or IMG student / resident / doctor. When I was in my first year in residency, I barely got in there, and then I kicked it as much as possible, and I did better than the other residents on, I crushed the other residents on my first ABSITE exam, which is a yearly surgery exam, the American Board of Surgery in Training examination, which is ABSITE. It doesn't matter that you're in that Caribbean school. What matters is the habits you develop, how you study, and if you figure out how to study and the good habits, then you can kind of do anything. And it's a lot of psychology, honestly. Unfortunately, if you believe that you're not as good, then you won't perform as good.
Dr. Parker, thank you so much for answering my questions. I really, really appreciate this collaboration. We're in 2 different states, but we still made it work out.
All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you got some value out of that stuff. I hope we can do it again. It'll be fun.
If you guys are interested in following him, his link will be in the end screen and the description below. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.
One of my 5th-year residents when I was a first year said he was so brash and classic surgeon. He's like, listen, you interns, he's like, this is what you're going to do. You're going to read and read and read and read some more until you want to puke, and you cannot possibly read anymore, and then you read some more, right? And so that really stuck with me. I was like, okay, man, whatever it takes, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read my off whenever I could.